All right, everybody, welcome to Wizarding Wars number 7. We've got some Harry Potter TCG Revival action for you tonight, and we are going to jump right into round 1. We have got Kenneth versus Nicola V here. It looks like Ken is running Pomfrey and at least Transfiguration and Charms, and it looks like Nicola is playing Draco. Not a surprise, one of Nicola's go-to favorite characters here. Looks like Draco is on the play, had a Potion Charm start. Response from Ken is just a Charm Transfiguration, and then it looks like we had to go for the old play a card and use an action to draw a card already for Nicola here, which is not always ideal, but it's okay. We found a book on the next turn. Our opponent is already running out the money cards. The nut item here is going to let him get one more action next turn, so basically spent an action this turn to have a bigger next turn. It's useful in the situations where you want to play additional characters or adventures and still do something else that turn, since those types of cards do cost you 2 actions. Going back to Nicola's turn here, we're going to just jam a few more lessons out, and with this book, that means that we are up to 6, which is pretty high. We can start playing some pretty impactful cards against Ken. Ken's really going to have to make the most of this 3-action turn here, and let's see what we do with it. Madame Pomfrey is a big healer, so she is indicative of somebody who is trying to play the long game. And it's not surprising when you see Charms and Transfiguration and money cards, because it is really showing that he's trying to do something that, has a lot of moving parts. It requires a lot of actions, a lot of setup. Just like we thought, there's going to be a lesson coming now. This is Lockhart's Lecture. Lockhart's Lecture. Sorry, I said lesson. I meant adventure. Now, this is an adventure from Chamber of Secrets. It's whenever you use an action to play a spell, your opponent has to say brilliant. And if your opponent forgets, they take 3 damage at the end of their turn. And in order to solve it, your opponent lets you have 4 more actions on your next turn. So people basically are just going to spend the rest of the game cursing themselves for not saying brilliant. Whenever their opponent uses a spell. I love that. I wish that we were in the room. This is one of the most interesting, unique kind of cards in the Harry Potter trading card game. I do love that the Revival team made another adventure that is kind of an homage to this adventure from Chamber of Secrets. Lockhart's Lecture ends up feeling like an card from those Magic sets that are like kind of just nonsense. It's pretty funny that your opponent's gonna have to keep saying brilliant or they take damage. They're never giving you those 4 actions, right? Lockhart's Lecture is susceptible to pretty much every type of removal on an adventure, but again, you'll sit there and you'll say to yourself, well, that's not worth an action, because I'll just remember to say it, and then when you forget, it gets you. Arthur Weasley is going to be what we invest our 2 actions in here. Oh, actually, sorry, we played a book to give ourselves an extra action because Draco. So we played Magical Me, and then we're going to play an Arthur down. Really nice that we kind of bought ourselves that extra action, that time to play Arthur Weasley. Arthur is going to let us take one of our items and play and deal damage to our opponent equal to its printed power cost. And we're going to start playing some pretty big items here, because that's going to be our main source of damage. Chocolate Frogs is going to let us go search for a witch or wizard from our deck and show it to our opponent. Since Arthur is already out and Draco's here, it might be a utility character. It might be something like Seamus, Colin Creevy. We're not going to get a Pomfrey because there's already one out. Maybe a Snape. Snape's not bad because Snape gives you access to healing and a lesson. And especially in a deck where you're paying a full honest price for characters, and the characters are going to cost you 2 actions. It's nice because it kind of is like you used 1 action to play a lesson. And it is going to be Seamus. Smart move. Seamus Finnegan, a very powerful character. So we are going to go get Seamus with the Chocolate Frogs. We certainly don't have the actions to play Seamus. Yeah, so he's going to go to hand. We do have 1 action left. And it looks like we are going to use it. We're going to use 1 action on Arthur Weasley's ability to deal 3 damage to our opponent because our books cost 3. Oh, I need to turn down my this Christmas music lo-fi a little bit, huh? There we go. The balance there should be a little bit better. Looks like we are casting a Bewitching Snowballs. I hope that our opponent said brilliant. Brilliant! Let's see if we can remember every time. Looks like we've remembered because we just went to our turn and drew a card. And we played a Sickle, so Sickle is going to be the old 7-action money card here. This Sickle is going to plus in a lot of different ways. This is one of the big payoff cards for this deck. So you get the action back from playing the Sickle because Draco Malfoy is on the field. You're going to immediately use Arthur's ability to, once per turn, use an action to deal 7 damage to your opponent off the Sickle. You still have an action, and next turn, you're going to get 2 extra actions when the Sickle activates. And again, those money cards, remember that Nut gave our opponent 1 extra action at the beginning of their turn. Sickle is going to give our opponent 2 extra actions at the beginning of their turn. And then Galleon is a 10 cost that will give him 3 extra actions. So it looks like Ken is going to play Alohomora, which lets him search his deck for a location or adventure card. Put it into his hand. Brilliant! Oh, almost forgot. Not getting me with that card. I don't know, maybe you will. We'll see. Forgive me. I'm trying really hard not to chew into the microphone, but I'm just having my dinner. Alright. Alohomora has been played. I hope our opponent said brilliant! It looks like we went and we got Gringotts. Gringotts is a location that's going to give both players an extra action. One thing that is interesting about playing Gringotts without any kind of control ability behind it is that we're just going to give Nicola the first advantage here. And Nicola's going to have maybe so many actions that we don't know what to do with them. We're going to have 1, 2, 3. Maybe the thought is that they're going to have so many actions, they'll just be saturated. They'll be using those actions to draw cards. They don't have anything that's actually, you know, that like matters to invest those actions into, because drawing cards is just so whatever, right? You're just damaging yourself to try and find something better to play. That's fine. You're okay with your opponent using all those actions to do that. You're certainly scared of your opponent walking around with 5 actions to start their turn, right? So if we're using them to draw cards, that's pretty good to me. Oh, looks like we used the first one to draw a card. Says a lot about our hand. We're going to play Seamus Finnegan. So that's actions 2 and 3. But we will be able to discard 2 cards from our hand to get another action with Seamus. And it looked like we remembered to say brilliant because we didn't take those damage from our opponent playing Alohomora. So we're going to go right back into it. We're going to play another Sickle. We're probably going to use... so that's action. We used 1 to draw a card, 2, 3 for Seamus, 4 for Sickle. Probably going to use 5 to deal 7 damage with Arthur. Yep, there it is. And we might generate an extra action with Seamus, but because we were using those actions to draw a card, I'd be surprised if we did. Although, personally, I think that you're in a position where you're the aggressor here. You're trying not to lose at this point. You're just going to push for the win. So I would just discard 2 cards I'm not going to play from my hand into Seamus and use that action to draw a card as just like a type of filtering, just to increase the card quality of what I'm holding in my hand, even though it is a little bit of card disadvantage. It looks like we're just going to pass at that 5th action, though. I'm going to send it over to Ken. Ken's going to use Madame Pomfrey here to heal himself 12 cards. 12 big ones, Ken. Probably going to be putting in the Bewitching Snowballs, some of the items, but we really haven't seen Ken get to his bigger payoff stuff yet. Meanwhile, Nicola's already hitting those big 7-cost swings off the Arthur by just getting those Sickles into play each turn. Oh, I see what we did. We used a magical me to put a sickle back into our hand. That's pretty cool. So magical me is you can discard this card from play and choose a non-healing spell with a power of 2 or less from discard. Oh, sorry, it's only 2 or less, and you can play it as if it were in your hand. But that's cool for things like chocolate frogs. If we had something that searched an item that was a low cost for us, we could be playing that. Go get nuts back if we play any of them, although I imagine there'd be a really low nut count since we are building pretty fast and getting to those sickles. And the nuts aren't as good with Arthur. They're really good for openers with Draco, though. Like, lesson, nut, lesson, then the next turn is like 3 actions. So you can go additional character lesson, or lesson, 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 or, you know, adventure lesson. Definitely the best start for Draco. I give up trying to make this thing a hyperlink. I'm pretty sure that Discord uses Markdown, but whatever. It's alright. Just linking people to the stream. Alright. What did we do here? Looks like we got Borrowed Wand. We put Borrowed Wand into play, so Borrowed Wand is going to give us 2 lessons instead of 1. Basically has the bonus added effect of being an item. Unfortunately, that would be a little bit better with Malfoy than with Pomfrey. It doesn't do much for us being an item, but we are going to also use Draco's Trick, which lets us discard Lockhart's and get the reward. And the reward for Lockhart's Lecture is that you just take 3 damage, so... That's interesting that we would do. Okay. You get the... Does it say that you take 3 damage, or does it say your opponent takes? You take 3 damage. Alright, looks like we got the old Silver Unicorn Horn played there for Nicola. Silver Unicorn Horn is a big, big healing card in potions. Yeah, Silver Unicorn Horn, 6 cost item. When you play this card, put up to 2 non-healing cards from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you can use an action to discard it from play to shuffle 6 more non-healing cards from the discard pile into your deck. So it kind of has this double effect there. So yeah, there it is. We're going to be jamming that into play, the Silver Unicorn Horn. So this is kind of nice because the sickles pop at the beginning of our turn, so that's just a consistent source of a relatively high amount of damage for Arthur. But the real kicker with the Unicorn Horn is just being able to afford that healing. I mean, we look at Pomfrey and she did 12. The fact that Unicorn Horn is going to go ahead and it's going to take 2, and then it's going to take, I believe, what is it, 6 later, right? Yeah, 6 later, so it's 8 total. This is actually better than Snape's heal, and we're able to play more than one of these a game, so pretty good. Oh, looks like we are actually going to go get Neville Longbottom too. I didn't even see him sneak in here. And using that extra action that we are afforded from Gringotts, on top of the fact that the Unicorn Horn had refunded our action because of Draco Malfoy, we're able to play Neville Longbottom, and Neville is just this little piece of security here. He prevents all but the first 8 damage done to you on each turn. So if your opponent is trying to actually deal you a significant amount of damage with burn spells or creatures, it prevents it. Neville's biggest weakness, of course, is that he does not prevent drawing cards, and drawing cards is one of the strongest sources of damage, like forced draw in the Harry Potter trading card game. Things like Peeves, things like the matches winning, things like Hagrid needs help is kind of making them draw those extra cards and discard their hand. They take the 8 damage. And then of course the more obvious things like Grip Hook, like Venomous Tentacular Juice, like Dobby's Help. It looks like Ken took the 7 damage off the last action. Arthur Weasley dealt 7 from the sickle, and we've passed the turn over to Ken. The fact that we've been able to just keep playing sickles, I mean, we see the one in the discard pile there. This is the 3rd sickle that we've played. Is really, really strong for us. It's not even like we're seeing him draw a ton of cards or do anything to search for them. We just happen to draw into them at the perfect time here. And I mean, I'd say the perfect time, I just mean the first half of the game. It's 2/3 of his deck, basically, that are still in the deck. And trying to think about what he's going to do here, because he's still kind of setting up his game plan, and his opponent is kicking down the front door with this Arthur damage every turn. If we didn't have that 12 heal for Pomfrey, things would be looking really scary right now for Ken. And the Pomfrey bought us some time, but we have to do something with that time. So it looks like we're going to play Bravado. Bravado is going to let us play real big chonker spells for 5 less power. We do currently have 4, 5, 6, 7 power on the table. So Bravado is going to let us play 12 cost cards at this point. I don't know if we have anything that wild in the deck. Maybe we do. Maybe we're running around with like, the Alchemist Stone. Philosopher's Stone, that's the one. That's what it's called. Sorry, guys. Wow, I'm a horrible Harry Potter fan. Ooh, platform 9 3/4 is getting used here for Kenneth. I don't hate to see that. Platform 9 3/4 is going to ditch one of our lessons and give us 2 more actions. So you turn 1 action into 2 more. We're going to play Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley, pretty powerful adventure card. This is straight up from base set. It's your opponent can't use actions to draw cards. In order to solve, your opponent has to skip a total of 7 actions, and the reward is it can draw any number of cards. So basically, Diagon Alley just says you can't use actions to draw cards anymore. You want to use some kind of removal on it, because skipping 7 is absolutely the way you lose. Oh no, we're Draco's tricking our Diagon Alley. We're going to draw any number of cards and put them into our hand now. Oh boy, how many cards would we like to draw? Oh, we're just showing them that's all we have, and we're going to the end of the game. We're just like, oh man, that's pretty funny. I'll draw out my deck. Good game. Next game. I think instead of actually ending the game, these guys reset the game. And now they might have trouble sideboarding. Alright, yep, it looks like it is letting them sideboard. Good. I wasn't too sure. I actually haven't played too many of these. I basically play a best of 1 and then get off. I haven't done the best of 3 yet, so I don't know if it let you sideboard or not. If you just reset the game versus said who the proper winner was and all that stuff. Turns out, yes, it does. Of course, it does. All right, so for game 2 here, both of these guys were able to sideboard in some cards against their opponent. I imagine that if Ken's packing any, he's put some item removal cards in his deck, and I think that everything kind of went the way Nicola wanted to there. For the most part, we were able to set up some extra characters. We were able to just do some early and consistent damage with Arthur. If we were to side in anything, maybe it is some adventure hate, because we did have a couple adventures that we didn't like so much getting played against us, and none of them really stopped us from doing anything to solve them or to remove them with things like the easy answers, the easy adventure answers, like the cheap transfiguration cards. Although I guess we're not playing transfiguration. Whoa! We're just gonna go ahead and open up with Through the Arch. So Through the Arch is your opponent can't play any spell cards, and your opponent has to skip a total of 4 actions in order to solve Through the Arch, and the reward is that they get to put an item from their discard pile into their hand. What you do if you're Ken right now is you just skip your first 2 actions here. Play 1, skip 1 isn't bad, but I really like just okay, skip 2. So it's like your opponent skipped 2 actions to play Through the Arch, and you skip 2 actions. Okay, now we're just going right to the next turn, and you already have lessons down, so you're still ahead. Then he does whatever he's gonna do with his turn, and then you can do like play skip, or skip, solve. But I think he dropped Through the Arch really, really early. I mean, you want to drop Through the Arch right as your opponent finishes playing lessons and is about to start playing spells, because most decks have that kind of initial build phase. But we slammed it down right away, and so our opponent's going to just go ahead and play his next couple of turns the same way he would anyway, right? He's just playing an item, playing another lesson, building up the way that he does, and Through the Arch was just a -2 actions. So now look at how far behind we are on kind of building a board. It feels a little bit bad, but hopefully we'll get to squeeze some more of the value out of that Through the Arch over the next 2 or 3 turns as he runs out of things to play. But again, there's another non-spell card. It's going to be Gringotts coming down to give both players an extra action. Now, again, that is terrifying for me that we saw Nicola play Seamus and we played Gringotts into it. Like, yeah, here you go. Just have, a million actions. Just filter all the cards out of your hand to things that you want instead. Via, discarding from Seamus and just using actions to draw. Maybe he's just trying to get... Actually, it's not the worst, right? Because what he wants to do with the Gringotts is he wants to just solve Through the Arch and still have an action next turn. And just 2 lessons coming down for Nicola here. I like that. That's kind of what you're doing now, is you're just going to build, because the very next thing that's happening is your opponent's going to solve Through the Arch. Oh no, it's not. Just kidding. Your opponent's going to play Hagrid Needs Help. Oh boy, does he. Look at this poor guy. Hagrid needs so much help. Hagrid is going to be putting the pain on his opponents here. Your opponent gets 1 fewer action on each of their turns, including the turn that this card is solved. So there's no way to get around it. Your opponent basically is going to immediately have to solve this or play the whole game down in action, where they take 8 damage, and the reward is to draw 3 cards. Now, the one thing I will say is, if I was Nicola, I wouldn't be solving Hagrid Needs Help right now, because all Hagrid Needs Help is doing is neutralizing the Gringotts here, and that's really not that bad. Like, you're not super worried about not getting the free extra action since you have Seamus as well. It looks like we are going to solve it though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. Yep, we're definitely solving Hagrid. Putting those 8 cards into the discard pile. And again, Hagrid is like he's like a win-win for the guy who plays him, because when your opponent opts to draw the 3 cards, of course they do, you're actually dealing them 11 damage for 2 actions. So Hagrid Needs Help is incredible value, because you've dealt them 11 damage for 2 actions, and you took one of their actions away next turn. Really, really good value for Haggard Needs Help. And the thing is, if you just play another Haggard Needs Help right now, if your opponent's just like, oh, rolls the eyes and then goes to solve it again. Although Nicola has really gotten to a good position here after 2 turns of just being able to build behind the extra action that we're getting from things like Gringotts and Seamus. You know, now we just slammed out our nut. The nut is going to give us that action back for Draco. We're able to draw some cards. We're just going to have a decent amount of actions. I don't think we're super worried about it. And we're seeing, like I was saying earlier, and you'll hear me say this pretty much every week until everybody starts playing something with some kind of action advantage. But the decks that have action advantage like this, that are just generating so much more action advantage over their opponent, are going to be the ones coming out on top. I mean, we do see that Ken is trying to do some of that here with lock type adventures and with cards like Gringotts on his side of the field, but it's just not doing it as effectively. I mean, Draco Malfoy as a starter immediately means that it's easier for Nicola to do it than it is for Ken. Nicola's got the Seamus in the deck. Nicola's got all the money cards that are popping off, nuts and sickles. We've only seen 1 nut so far come out of Ken. Ken is playing some good adventures in Diagon Alley and Haggard Needs Help, doing some cool Draco's Trick stuff, but it's not quite as fast. It's not quite enough. Here comes Arthur Weasley. He's ready to start popping off. We did search for him with the Chocolate Frog. Nice play. I do like the Chocolate Frog. It's just kind of like a second copy of every character. Nice way to get to them. And especially with that extra action our opponent is so kind to give us with Gringotts. So we're going to play the Chocolate Frogs, go get Arthur, use action number 2, a Magical Me, get that action back because of Malfoy. And now we still have 2 actions, so we're going to go ahead and slam Arthur Weasley down. We might even discard 2 cards to activate Seamus and just start popping that damage onto our opponent. Although, at this point, I think I might hold off. You want to build up a little bit more. Oh, we are. Did we not? How did we deal it? We had 3 actions for turn. We played Arthur Weasley. Played the, oh, okay, sorry, my bad. We played this, we got the action back, and then we actually used 4. I was just used. All right. Looks like it's Bravado, which means Draco's Trick is coming down. There it is, Draco's Trick. The Wizarding Wars art itself. He's got the old inflate a troll here. He's going to inflate a big fake troll, scare Harry Potter. Draco's Trick coming down, discarding our Diagon Alley, letting us draw any number of cards. Oh man, what's the number going to be? I wonder how many cards we will opt to draw here. Now, without Spiral Dive, you know, we're doing this Draco's Trick. Wow. Wait, really? What's the play? What am I missing here? We're going to Pomfrey stuff back in, I'm sure. Okay, we're platforming. We have 4 actions. But we don't have Quidditch, right? Okay, platform 9 3/4. We have... Sorry, I said the actions before I meant lessons. Now we're going down to 3 lessons. I mean, there's not a character that makes your opponent draw as many cards as you have in your hand. There's only that Quidditch card, Spiral Dive. What is the play? What's the payoff? There's got to be... Oh, no way! He just... Because he can draw the whole deck, he only has to play, like, 1 Quidditch card. So he does... Oh, my God. He plays the Quidditch card and he Spiral Dives. How many cards is in hand? Is that game? I'm like, Spiral Dive is the only win con I see here, but he's obviously not playing it. We've never seen Spiral Dive or a Quidditch card, and there it is. Wow. Is that enough? It is! It was enough to kill. That's crazy. Wow. God, guys, I didn't see that happen at all. So Spiral Dive is a Quidditch card that costs 4 lessons. And Spiral Dive says that your opponent has to draw as many cards as you have in your hand. Or sorry, you discard your hand and you deal that much damage to your opponent, right? Let me just read it real quick. We get it right here. Pretty sure it's you have to discard. Spiral Dive, yeah. Discard any number of cards from your hand and do that much damage to your opponent. So we drew out almost our whole deck. It was, let's just say, like, I don't know, 30-something cards. We did 30-something damage to our opponent. It was enough. So we are going to game 3 here, and it looks like both players opted to skip the sideboards. We're going right into this next game. They've already put in anything that they want to kind of you know, counter their opponent's strategy. It's going to be Transfiguration and Professor Snape comes to play. Oh, we do play Snape. So the nut is going to pop. So we got the perfect, what we call it, the nuts, right? Get a ha 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 ha. You got the nuts opening for Draco here, which is lesson nut lesson. Then we slam down Professor Snape. So Magical Me get the action back. Then Snape really like this acceleration because Magical Me provides us that action back and gives us a lesson. Then Snape is a lesson, and you know, he's like a character. He has the healing, blah blah blah. But that puts us up to 4 lessons. And then we played Lucius's Cane. Now this is actually my personal favorite revival card. This is the one card in this set that is really interesting to me, more so than the rest, because this is a potions card that provides Charms Lesson. I think that's such cool design. At the end of each of your turns, you deal 2 damage to your opponent for each action you've taken after the second as well. This card can get out of hand pretty quick, and we're going to be doing a ton of free damage to our opponent through Lucius's Cane. It also has the added benefit of being an item that refunds an action when we play it. It also has the added benefit of being a relatively decent number of damage for Arthur to be doing as a worst case scenario. Or there's an item we're going to try and keep in play for the rest of the game. It is pretty susceptible to removal, but that's fine because you're not really there's no strategy in your deck that falls apart without it. It just enhances everything you're already doing. You're already trying to build items, you're already trying to splash into multiple colors, you're already trying to get action advantage, you're already trying to spend extra actions with the money cards, with Seamus. So it's all coming up nicely. Oh, and looks like a Filch as well. So there's a couple cards we didn't see in the first 2 games. Filch is going to be an excellent piece of insurance. Probably got sided in after that first game. He's here to stop all those adventure shenanigans. And the nice thing about it is he's already in play, so it's just going to be 1 action to check any adventure that Ken plays. And Ken didn't play any adventures that stopped us from using Filch to solve them. So, be pretty easy peasy. The best value that we can get out of adventures now for Ken is the Hagrid Needs Helps. Because if we use an action to solve Hagrid Needs Help, that's all the actions that we are allotted for the turn. Since Hagrid does take the action away no matter what. We have discarded 2 cards. Wait, is that weird? Oh, we played Ollivander's. So we got the nut from the discard and put it back in our hand. Okay, now we're playing the nut. That's going to trigger Draco get the action back. Then we're going to use that extra action to play a potion. Keep building our lessons. Pass the turn. Gringotts is down in... Oh man, isn't that great? Gringotts is going to be doing free damage to our opponent as well as giving us that extra action thanks to Lucius's Cane. Gringotts is a little scary. Maybe I wouldn't have dropped that into the Cane. But I'm sure Ken's got a plan. I do like the turn where you you bravado so that the platforms are like everything is just so cheap, right? You bravado, then you platform away all your lessons to get enough actions, then you spiral, you play a Quidditch, spiral dive. I love that you Draco's trick to draw your deck, and that's how you're gonna know you're gonna be able to get the Quidditch lesson. It's just so great. I want to know how many Quidditch lessons are in the deck. I really hope it's like 1 or 2. I guess you need to make sure it's in the deck and not the discard pile, though, right? Wouldn't hate to see. Oh, I mean that's what the Pomfrey's for. Oh my God, that's why Pomfrey's our starter. So we always have a way to guarantee that the Quidditch lesson's in the deck and to increase the number of cards in the deck that we can draw to make our spiral dive bigger. Ahaha, pretty smart. Alright, Ken. I see you, Ken. Ooh, alright. So the slow, steady crawl, I mean, we played the Silver Unicorn Horn. It's that big item to deal damage with Arthur, who we haven't really seen yet. We've got the extra action Sickle down, so that's going to be huge because the Sickle is going to let us do a bunch of damage with the Cane. Our opponent is just playing a couple of those mid-range burn spells, the Bewitching Snowballs, dealing some damage. We're healing back with the Pomfrey. I wonder if we're healing with the Pomfrey here because we're ready to do the thing, or just to kind of because we need to get, we're like scared of the damage we're gonna take here. What we will be doing here, though, I think it's cool that we're using Bewitching Snowballs to make sure we're like whittling our opponent's deck down enough that when we do Spiral Dive, it will be lethal, right? You'd hate to set all that up and then just have too many cards in the deck. So I get that you're playing a couple burn spells. It also helps deal with creatures to stop them from like totally ripping apart your life total, since your life total is always the like top amount of damage you're able to do is based on your life total. So we move to Nicola's turn. The Sickle is going to trigger. So Nicola's sitting there with a whole bunch of actions. Gringotts giving us an action, Sickle giving us 2 actions. So that's at least 6 damage that we're going to be doing off the Cane. It looks like we are going to play Christmas Feast. Oh my goodness, guys. It's so on theme. We're going to put 4 non-healing item cards from our discard pile into our hands. So we're going to get the Sickles back. We are going to play Sickle again here. Again, remember the Sickle that we're playing gives us the action back. So Christmas Feast action 1, Sickle action 2. And everything after this is gravy. So, hair care potions. This is a great card. We do see the additional characters. We've seen all the item stuff and the searching for it. It's a real shame that we only got this out late in Game 3 and that we weren't able to take more advantage of it earlier. That's action 3. That's action 4. Oh, we played a Magical Bee. That's action 5. We got one more because we refunded an action with the I feel like we could have used one more, yeah? Did we use it to draw a card or something? I don't think we did. Because we got one back from one of the items. So yeah, we did get the... Right, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6. Gringotts. 5 of our own. But either way, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Oh, sorry, that's 8. Yeah. Oh, we did take 6 actions then, because he did 8 damage, so it's 4 additional. I just missed where we spent it, that's all. Yeah, and that's relevant here because we're stopping Ken from being able to Spiral Dive enough of our deck, right? Like, Lucius is just going to keep chipping away at Ken, and it's going to be outpacing any other healing he has because he's already used Pomfrey. I am really glad, though, that Ken's deck got to do the thing. Like, basically, you know, what it's here for, what it's built to do. I didn't realize that some of the stuff was hit. There we go. Better. All right, Ken. What do we got? What's our non-Spiral Dive plan, or is that just the plan? That's okay. I like the plan. I'm just saying. We're looking at having to make up a difference of 9 cards to make the Spiral Dive work. I guess only 7, right? Because you don't have to take all the cards. You only need to take everything except 1 card from his deck. And also you have 1 more card in your hand than he does. Ooh, Dobby's disappearance. What are we putting back? Probably the Cane, but I don't know. The Cane... Any of the item cards, it's got to be the sickle to stop him from getting all the extra actions. The item cards do just give him that action back, but I don't think the characters are good enough to bounce here. Yeah, see, I don't know that I would dobby the filter. I mean, we're gonna play probably some big scary adventure or something. And I know that our win con is like adventure, Draco's trick, do the thing. But I don't think a Diagon Alley or anything like that is too scary here against Nicola, and I think that we'll be a-okay. Really, the best thing he could have bounced back to right hand is the sickle, because all those extra actions were just going to deal him even more damage that he can't do anything about. Even if we just drew cards, you know, we're dealing at least 6 damage. If we play an item, that means we're doing 8 damage again. Minimum. So we draw a card for turn. We can't use actions to draw cards because he did play Diagon Alley. Sickle triggers. Oh, Self-Stirring Cauldron, baby. Self-Stirring Cauldron is a 2/4 here, because Self-Stirring Cauldron is going to give you 1 more action this turn, plus it refunds you off the Draco. So Self-Stirring Cauldron is actually plus 2 lessons and plus an action. Very strong card. It's the best Cauldron card in the game, hands down. Self-Stirring Cauldron is an incredibly powerful potions card. Turns 2 potion cards into 4 lessons. Obviously, the drawback is it's attached to this item card, and we saw our opponent had things like Dobby's Disappearance, but with an empty hand, he's probably not going to Dobby our Cauldron again. We're going to go ahead and get, what is this? Are we Snape healing? Snape healing? Oh, no, we are healing with the horn, the unicorn horn. Yeah, I mean, now that we know that the Spiral Dive thing is the win con, we're just going to keep the difference in our deck nice and high. Ollivander's coming down. It's going to let us go ahead and move another card from discard to our hand. And it's going to be that. Going to be the sickle for sure. And at the end of the turn, we're going to deal him that 8 damage from the cane. Yeah, things are starting to look really scary for Ken. I don't think that it's in the cards, pun intended. I don't see the way out here for Ken. I think this is pretty much tied up, if I had to guess. Yeah, so on that turn, we only had a couple of extra actions, no big deal. We really just used our actions to draw cards, and Ken still took 4 extra damage just because the Gringotts and being able to play that Silver Unicorn Horn gave us 2 extra actions. Like I said, he's kind of burning himself out with his own Gringotts here. It's making him take 2 damage a turn at minimum. I guess Gringotts itself isn't enabling any more than that, but I will just, you know, Gringotts is basically burning him for 2 at the end of every turn. Although, would I play a card that made me take 2 damage every turn if it gave me an extra action every turn? Yes, absolutely, but not if it gave the extra action to my opponent, who is milking it for all it's worth. I mean, we We see that Nicola has so many actions here, we don't even know what to do with them. We're just using half of them to draw cards at this point. We are sitting pretty, as they say. Nice fat, like full deck. It's got we've got Snape is still sitting here in play. The Unicorn Horn is sitting there in play. The cool thing about Ollivanders is Ollivanders doesn't say a non-healing item. So Ollivanders is one of those few cards that lets you just get the Unicorn Horns back from the discard pile and cycle them for a super healing deck. Seamus, just for some more blatant action advantage. Play the Seamus for 2 actions, play Sickle off of our 3rd action that Gringotts gave us, refund the action back. Gonna use the action to draw a card. Now I would discard 2. Wait, where do we get that one from?
Been a long time. Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Oh, the Gringotts action.
The old songs.
Here we had 4, so then we gained an extra one. We're going to use this extra action. This is action 5. We're going to play Ollivanders. We're going to get back an item. We're going to deal our opponent another 6, damage. And this is Ken's last turn, so Ken plays the Quidditch card. I think Ken's going for the honorable defeat here. He's just going to spiral dive his own deck into oblivion.
Bad luck to him.
Looks like all the rounds actually wrapped up right at the end of time. So yeah, that is going to be the Ken taking the honorable way out, going to 0 in deck there. And that is going to be the win for Nicola here with this awesome. I'm really, really happy to see somebody doing a Lucius Kane deck because, like I said, this is my favorite card in this set, in this fan-created set here. Also taking plenty of advantage of Magical Me. Looking to just cycle with the Magical Me. We're looking to get the hair care potions or those nuts early. Nothing wrong with that. You're spending plenty of additional characters too, which I really like to see. The utility on these is very powerful. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the results in here and pair the next round.